Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Famiboards Discussion Club, a podcast by and for the Famiboards community. Today we're going to be discussing our thoughts on Super Mario Bros. Wonder, as well as the Mario franchise in general in 2023. If you'd like to get on the discussion as well, please be sure to swing by this podcast companion thread on Famiboards.com. I'm WestEgg, and I'm once again joined by Irene.
Hello.
And VolcanicDynamo.
Look, I can't wait to talk about Mario Wonder so I can then go back to play more Mario Wonder so I can then eat, sleep, dream Mario. You know that Western commercial, that North American commercial for Super Mario All-Stars? That's sort of just been my life for the past week and a half and probably will be for the next few months given how much Mario games are coming out.
I don't think I do know that commercial. I know like the Mario 3 commercial where it has like everyone in North America making a Mario head and yelling like Mario, Mario.
That commercial is also me. I'm every single one of those actors in that commercial. I still get the royalty checks every now and then. It's really great.
Oh, very nice. All right, so I thought it might be nice before we get like directly into Mario Brothers Wonder to catch up a bit and kind of just see what else we've been playing lately aside from Mario Wonder. So let's start with you, Irene. What have you been playing lately?
Tying directly into the theme, both as a warm-up to Wonder and also like in between Wonder, so I can like variate between the two games. I've been replaying Galaxy 1 actually, and sort of getting this like retrospective-ish look on it because it's been so long. It's been so long since I played it last time, and it's been really awesome and invigorating to experience it again because it's such a legendary game. It's like made a cornerstone in that every Mario from here on out will just be all about excessive idea philosophy, and also exposing some more like flaws I didn't see before when I was like honeymooning it and stuff. So when it comes to like what I think Galaxy 1 nails so hard is that it, you know, like in modern Mario games, it's like this philosophy of ideas, right? For Mario 3D World, for example, there's one idea per stage, very like structurally built up, and the idea gets expanded upon, etc., etc. And then Mario Galaxy is just like all out. Like there's one new idea like every planet. You can literally, it feels sometimes some stages it feels like you cannot take like one single step without something like nutty happening. Like whenever it's like gravity stuff happening or like new enemies you haven't seen before, or just like getting your expectations like turned upside down in like the most relentless way possible. So that has been really cool to like relive and re-experience, but also like in light of especially 3D World and Odyssey and returning to Galaxy 1, I feel like Galaxy 1 can feel a bit rigid in a way, in that there's not much else to do in the courses besides taking you from start to finish. So in one way, I think that Galaxy 1 wasn't as replayable as I would hope it would be, because it's, yes, a fantastic game in all the places possible, except for maybe the prankster comments, but we'll get to that. And almost like a one-trick thing, where you go from stage to stage to stage, and the only thing you do in the stages is going from start to finish. And there's not much like in the terms of like collectibles. You have the star bits, but you don't have something akin to the stars in 3D World, for example. So in a way, when you have seen Galaxy 1 once, the novelty I feel wears off a bit more in this game rather than say Odyssey or 3D World, because the ideas are amazing and the philosophy of ideas is like phenomenal to go through. But I feel like when you have seen everything, there's not much else underneath it. Also, I don't like the prankster comments that much.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, yeah, it did have a bit of a different design philosophy than, say, 64 did, where the courses were more open-ended and you could kind of choose your objective. In this, it does more the classic Mario objective chasing. So I get how that's probably a little more limiting compared to even games that came later, like Odyssey kind of went back to the more freeform approach. But I tend to kind of look at, like, each game kind of does go to do its own thing. I don't necessarily judge it by what others do when the design philosophy is around that idea. But I do get how that could be a little more repetitive and therefore drags on the enjoyment a bit. But I do love Galaxy legitimately.
Do you like Galaxy 1 or 2 more?
Galaxy 2.
Galaxy 2.
Okay.
I don't get me wrong, I love Rosalina, I love the storybook, like that's all great, but just Galaxy 2 is more fun to play. Like, and that's what's more important.
Yeah, I think honestly a lot of what you said about Galaxy 1, Irene, very much mirrors my own thoughts on the game. It's a fantastic first play. It's still a game that's like super meaningful to me. But going back to it, you sort of see a lot of the sort of the rough, a lot of more of the rough edges. It's less replayable. It's a little more rigid. It's sort of this in between like, okay, let's do the more modern Mario style. Here's ideas. Let's focus on more linear action gameplay, which you were doing for the course clear stuff, and the more open areas. So you get some of those things like Beach Bowl and Honey Hive, and they're not quite as strong. But even though the atmosphere of Galaxy 1 is kind of like unmatched, I think Galaxy 2 is just, it feels like a more focused game, right? It knows a little bit more of what it wants to be in terms of how it presents its ideas. So it still does have the more rigid movement of Galaxy 1, but I think it utilizes it and the level design a lot better. So, yeah, I actually was really impressed going back to Galaxy 2 a few years ago, and now it's actually one of my favorite Mario games.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people do have criticism for the post game of Galaxy 2 with the green stars, but I actually love the green stars.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
Me too, yeah.
I think it's like it completely changes what the game is because it turns it into a treasure hunt. And yes, you have like the coolly designed specific objectives of the main game, but you've already played through that, so I'm okay with the switch up in gameplay styles. And it's just really satisfying to like kind of comb the course and find the green star and like listen for the little chime. And a thing that really helps it that like I think a lot of people aren't aware of is if you do like a ground pound, it will home into the star, so it's a lot less like trial and error, like objective or death than some people will attribute, like give it credit for.
Is it the green stars that unlocks Grandmaster Galaxy?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Because I remember playing Galaxy 2 with a friend like when it came out back in 2010, and we had played and played and played and played and played. And like it was like 2 a.m. We were like sleep deprived like hell, and was like a bit giggly because we have so much lack of sleep. So we were just like, okay, we have the special world now. We're gonna play it and 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 just wait for what amazing endgame surprise this game will have when you finish special world. And the thing that happens is that you have to go through every single stage again and look for even more stars. And we just looked at each other and started laughing for like a minute straight because we were like, are you kidding me? And then we looked up on the internet that it locks up Grandmaster Galaxy, and we were just like, really? Are you expecting me to do all of this just for one level? Oh my god! I trust. Don't get me wrong. I love the green stars as well as a concept. Looking back on it, it actually makes like the levels like more cool and engaging, and it's a cool unlock for Grandmaster Galaxy. But just that memory I have of us looking at each other and just laughing for 2 minutes straight because we couldn't believe that. They actually did that as a concept.
Yeah, I think the perfect run, which is it's the Prankster version of the Grandmaster Galaxy where you have a single hit point, is like that's in my mind is like one of my most proud video game accomplishments of eventually beating that. Like I think I felt more satisfied with that than I did like Champions Road in 3D World.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. I haven't played too much recently aside from Mario Wonder, but I am still going pretty hard in on F-Zero 99. That is still a fun game to just pick up and play. And I've kind of gotten in on the recent Suika craze, which I don't know if either of you have played that or heard of it.
I've heard of it. I've been interested in trying it. I want to do Wonder first. I want to like not impulse. I know it's only $3, but I don't want to like impulse buy a game just yet when I have a lot of stuff to clear. But just the concept of it just seems like a really funny thing to just like, oh, I'm going to pop it in. I'm going to try it out. Let's just see how it goes. So maybe after I clear out some more stuff.
Yeah, Irene, have you heard of this?
No, I have not.
Okay, so it was a game that was released like 2 years ago in Japan, and it didn't
Uh-huh.
have like a localization, and it got big with the VTuber community, so it kind of went
Oh,
viral.
okay.
But it's a game where it's kind of like the 2048 game, where you have fruit and you drop similar fruits on each other, and they like form a bigger fruit, and the goal is to like keep combining them until they form a watermelon. And it's just like a simple game. It has like the same repeating soundtrack, and it's just kind of blissful to play through, and I like it.
Wait a minute. Is this a game you have played?
Yeah. This is what I've been playing, like in between playing
Oh, I
Mario
thought
Wonder.
you were talking about a special mode in F-Zero 99.
Oh no, I wish that would be amazing.
Okay. Okay,
but-
never mind.
Yeah, what have you been playing? VolcanicDynamo.
There are games other than Super Mario Brothers Wonder that have released in October 2020.
I hear there were a few. There was the Spider-Man. That was a big one.
Okay, yeah.
And there was something about a blue hedgehog.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of him.
No, I have no idea what you're talking about. Not at all.
Okay, fair enough. So, if you hadn't heard of him, this will make this question from Chocolate Super a little surprising. But he was asking, since Famiboards resident Mario superfan will be in this podcast, he had a question for you specifically, which is, what is your favorite Emerald Power in Sonic Superstars?
What's a Chaos Emerald? I don't know what you're talking. Okay, gags aside. Is it a cop out to say that Super Form is the best Chaos Emerald power? So I've been playing Sonic Superstars. My goal was I was at least gonna finish like whatever main campaign it has before Mario Wonder came out, and I did. It's fun. There are a few questionable design choices that I have for it, particularly in regards to boss fights. But all in all, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. But I honestly think that the Emerald powers as were much more interesting as a concept than they were in execution. The idea of, rather than having to get the Chaos Emeralds just to get the super form and the super bonus final boss or whatever they put at the end of these games, was cool. And things like, being able to travel through water easier, being able to have better access to platforming or finding secrets. In theory, that's really fun. In practice, I ended up not really using the Emerald powers all too much. If I had to pick one that I ended up using a lot, I enjoyed using the Fireball power-up, specifically when playing as Sonic, because that lets you, air dash and attack enemies, and that was often useful, particularly in some of the last few worlds, to get yourself out of some tight scraps. But if I'm playing as any of the other characters, if I'm playing as Tails, I'm just gonna fly. If I'm playing as Knuckles, I'm gonna glide. Amy has like a double jump, so it does feel that I want them to give this concept another shot, because I like the idea of having these sort of unlockable moves and tweaks to the moveset, but I don't think they quite nailed it the first attempt. If you want to talk about a game that does nail optional additions to your moveset through things that you unlock throughout the course of the game as a mechanic, then we can talk about Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch family of systems.
That was an excellent segue. Well done. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about Mario Wonder. Let's just talk about like leading up to the game, because this game had a fairly short reveal to launch window, kind of like Pikmin 4 earlier this year. I know that like myself and Irene, probably Tears of the Kingdom was easily our most anticipated the game of the year, and that like had a huge build up. I kind of feel like this was probably your equivalent of that.
Yeah.
So like, how was just that whole period for you?
I've been waiting over a decade for a new 2D Mario platformer that's not a builder game, which I love the Maker games, but they're a very different flavor of game. They're a very different flavor of platform, and what the community makes is very different than what Nintendo makes. And the mobile game on my phone. Yes, Super Mario Run is a mainline Mario game. No, it does not replace the standard Super Mario Brothers sort of feeling. It also doesn't help that, the last few games for these have been new Super Mario Brothers games, and the new Super Mario Brothers games have had a very infamous reputation as being very stale. All mechanically solid, really fun, really sound, but often borrowing a lot from the prior games in the series, whether it comes to the aesthetics, the world themes, the music, or even like level gimmicks. Even New Super Mario Bros. U, which is the best one. It has the most expansive world map. It has a really solid challenge mode. It has some of the most interesting usage of its level design. Still cribbed a lot from New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Again, there's music, but also things like a lot of the level mechanics, the enemies and stuff. So, as fun as that game is to me, there is sort of a level of, all right, what's the next step? So then you get this new trailer for Wonder, and it just looks gorgeous. These I'm looking at these character animations, and like they do such a good job of communicating both specific actions that are doing and also just looking good. Same. We see a lot of personality with the rest of the graphics. We see a bunch of new enemies and mechanics. The weirdness with that Wonder Flower thing that you can collect to change the levels. And then Mario's an elephant. He's a big old elephant now. And from that point, I was like, all right, there you go. That's it. This is going to be the game of the year. This is mine. I'm going to have this.
All right, fair enough. I do want to defend the new Super Mario games just a little bit, because it has become pretty fashionable to be like it was a stale series, and at least in my experience, I don't think a lot of that started really showing up until like the kind of quick succession of New Super Mario Bros. 2 and then New Super Mario Bros. U.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if people remember the original New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, like that entire game was actually incredibly subversive as far as Mario mechanics go. Things worked like in ways you deliberately wouldn't expect them to. Like friggin' Bowser burns to death in the first world. Like there's like so much weird in that game. But anyway, sorry, that's just kind of my side old man yells at cloud thing.
I don't strictly disagree with you, to be honest. The first New Super Mario Bros. Game, it's not my favorite in the series. I prefer the other games. I think their power-ups, I think their levels are better. But no, it was incredibly fresh for the time. Not as good as 3 or World, but 3 and World are all-timer games. That's kind of difficult. But you had things like, they're adding in 3D Mario mechanics. They're bringing in, there was a lot of fresh stuff. We didn't really have like a lot of mountain and jungle themed areas in Mario yet. It's the staleness of the series. Yeah, it definitely comes to the 1-2 punch of 2 and U releasing so quickly, and a lot of the stuff after DS and Wii just felt like reusing a lot of stuff. While New Super Mario Brothers and even Wii felt like these grand returns, like, here's co-op 2D Mario in games. Here's the return of Mario in general for 2D after a decade. A lot of the luster started to wear off because the rest of the game started to feel a little safe. And Wonder, felt like it was really pushing in that sort of new direction. Obviously still rooted in New Super Mario Brothers. It's not like they're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. They shouldn't. But things like fresh coat of paint, fresh set of power-ups, fresh set of stuff. A lot of that stuff is really what the franchise needed to reinvigorate itself. So of course I see it and I'm just like, all right, let's do it.
I'm a bit willing to yell on the clouds with you, WestEgg, because from someone who thinks like New Super Mario Bros. U is a freaking masterpiece, because it's a bit personal, because that was the game that brought me back into gaming after like being outside of gaming for a lot of years. Playing that game is like you play the first level and it's amazing, or not amazing, it's like okay. But then the second level, you play it, and it does the trick where, like the old Super Mario Brothers trick, where you jump over the level, and then you walk, you know what I mean? Like walk to the warp zone. So you do that, but then you come to like a bonus area or whatever. But what you do in New Super Mario Bros. U on the second level is that you jump over the level, and then jump over the levels. There's like an additional layer on top of the additional layer that leads you to the real secret exit, and the secret exit takes you to like World 5 via some kind of like super weird squid level. And when I discovered that for the first time, I was like, yo, this game rules. And because it's then after that it just like has these all sorts of like cool surprises. Like here's a Van Gogh level, and here's a beanstalk level that takes you up to the cloud level on, you know, like a back alleyway thing. That's like all of those memories of playing New Super Mario Bros. U and being blown away by it. They came back to me in spectacular fashion when I saw the Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It was like a reassuring pat on the back, like, hey, you remember the Super Mario Bros. Team? We are the best of the best, and here is yet another proof and yet another banger game we're going to deliver to you to prove that Mario Brothers, wherever it's 2D Mario or 3D Mario, is like the upper echelon of gaming. As far as I'm concerned, I think there's just a level of quality and consistency in both 2D and 3D Mario. When, you know, the first trailer for Wonder and everything it showed off was like, okay, this is going to be yet another masterpiece.
Yeah, I think Wonder like does a good job of leaving an immediately strong impression, especially coming off of the older games. And like you have like kind of the intro, and you see like Bowser turn into a castle, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. And I from what I've seen on social media and whatnot, the thing that really left an impression in people was just the second level in particular.
Wait, what was the second level?
It was the Piranha Plant Parade.
Oh yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah, all of the demos they had at various events and like people who played it early, they did not show them that level. They wanted that to be a surprise for everyone.
And they were right to do that because that Wonder effect really does set the tone for the rest of the game. Yes, the Welcome to the Flower Kingdom, oh, here we go, we can see the effects. But what Piranha Plants on Parade really sold is that this is a game that wants you to laugh and wants you to smile, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really glad that and that's something I think the game really does a strong job of. And that was something that I immediately felt. Things like, okay, the talking flowers constantly adding this very amusing color commentary to things. Sort of tutorial, but also just like trying to add some silly flavor to each things. Having a lot of wonder effects that do silly and wacky things, whether it's messing with enemies or messing with Mario and the rest of the cast, you know, in order to create a lot of interesting sort of stuff, you know, a lot of that stuff really being there from the very start. And just, man, I'm just seeing that in action and really going through with it and seeing how that was carried forward with the rest. It really just says something about what they were aiming for, that they largely did succeed at. It's a game that gives me like a lot of positive feelings, but we could obviously focus on other things when we get to more deep dives.
Yeah, it's so. I think it's like, yeah, it's among the best Mario games ever for me. There's no question, but I think it's the single funniest one. Like when you play it, and it's like, okay. This is not like a Super Mario game. It's a straight up sitcom at this point, where you're just like playing, and I mean you can like laugh a little bit when you're playing 3D World and you come into the ants and the ants are cute and you're bouncing on it. But I think somewhere between like a Wonder Flower effect that makes the enemies sing or whatever, and the Wonder Flower effect that makes the pipes move, then you came to like one of the talking flowers dropping like the most amazing comedy one line ever. And I'm just sitting there and like I can't freaking breathe. Like I have not experienced that level of pure comedy fun, like not just fun, but comedy fun in a Mario game before. The same that I feel like when playing Wonder. And also, people have various opinions about the talking flowers, but I'm like, just bring every single talking flower in the room because I love them.
I'm a talking flower stan.
Yeah,
I love listening to them all the time. The ratio for them just making me smile is just through the roof. And again, it's just one of those things where, oh yeah, this is a game that makes you wants you to laugh, wants you to smile. Doesn't feel like it's trying too hard to do that. You know, it's not like poking at itself too much, but it does just enough where it's just like, oh man, I love just seeing these little guys. Honestly, that's one of the things I think this game does well in general. It adds such a lot of character to like everything. Obviously, we've talked about the animations already, but even there's small things like how each world has sort of like a mini story or conflict that is going on. Whether it's Bowser Jr. terrorizing and preventing some poplins from being able to climb up to the top of Fluff Puff Peaks, or we have in Shining Falls, we have like the Poplin Master who wants to make sure that you're up for the challenge, so you're just doing tests, and every time you finish a level, that Poplin pops in and comments on your performance. It's a lot of things like that really make the Flower Kingdom feel less like a distinct set of a bunch of levels and more like an actual place, which I think was definitely something that was not really, I think, which is something to me that I don't think 2D Mario often emphasizes. Like, there's Dinosaur Land does it to an extent, the world map in U does it, but even though this world map doesn't have that level of interconnectivity, I really love how they made each world feel like a place, even in just small ways in what the Poplins are doing or the talking flowers. And it makes each one feel... yes, the backgrounds, too. Makes everything seem really memorable. And I really enjoyed that a lot.
I think it helps that each world, like, it kind of has multi-parts to its theme. So, for example, like, the first, World 1 is partially, like, a rocky bluffs area, but then it kind of goes, there's kind of like a subterranean component and a more open field component to it as well. So it's not just like homogeneous level design throughout like the whole world.
Yeah, it's not just desert. It's not just lava. It's not just ghost house. It's not just cloud,
Yeah, like the desert level has like the like palace component to it as well.
Yeah. And I'm really glad it's something that they managed to carry through for like the whole game, because Plight Rock Plateau, let me just say this now, this is my favorite World 1 in like any 2D Mario game. The level of diversity in the mechanics and in the environments is just stunning, from the initial grassland areas like the sort of tutorial starting area to the savannas to the forest to the underground area to the optional sort of mountain climbing section. We're consistently being thrown with new ideas and new concepts and making the world feel much more diverse than just the standard grassland or even just a savanna or just a forest. And then seeing World 2 and World 3 and World 4 and even the rest of the worlds like carry forward that idea of usually mixing in at least two ideas into how they would be perceived, really made for a lot of exciting moments and a lot of clever intrigue, especially since also I got to talk about the world maps. The world maps themselves, not what I was expecting when we got the game, but I ended up really loving how they were implemented in terms of making all the worlds have that sort of very adventurous feeling.
And I love the way the paddle isles sort of like acts like a semi-hub world to it as well.
Yeah, agreed.
It's funny, I've been seeing a lot of fans of Xenoblade pointing out how it has the similar map design of having like a circular set of worlds, and in between is the like final destination in-game area. And like I've seen other people pointing out like Mario's been doing that since Mario World.
Yeah. This game just makes it a lot more explicit by having the pedal isles be a hub for that rather than going totally around into the center.
Which it's thematically appropriate because like zoomed out it does look like a flower. It's the Flower Kingdom.
Wait, it does?
Yeah, it does. If you look at the map, like each world is like a petal of the flower, and then like the petal isles are the center of it.
Now I get it.
Yep.
Smart.
Really, really fun thematic thing. I haven't really thought about it, but like, oh yeah, that is the case. I guess it just goes to show that they made the location just feel very natural, even just in and of itself. That even if you don't think about that aspect, it still like looks and feels right. And that just goes down to just good visual design, which this game definitely has in spades.
So this game did introduce a few like new mechanical things. So I think there were 3 new power-ups, if I'm not mistaken. There was the elephant power-up, the bubble, and the drill.
Mm-hmm.
And then it also kind of introduced the badge system. So that which gave you different abilities. So just out of curiosity, which of the new power-ups did you like the best, and what was kind of your go-to badge?
My favorite power up. I'm kind of torn because I honestly think the set that we have is really really strong. We have a good set of powers that aid both with combat with fighting enemies and also with platforming, from being able to jump on the bubbles to being able to drill into the ceilings, from being able to walk along multiple platforms with the elephant or use the water to uncover new pathways. It's honestly one of the most balanced sets of powers that this franchise has seen in a long time, where it feels like all of them have their usage and utility. One of my favorite pairings when it comes to things, and this also goes into my favorite badge. My favorite badge is the crouching high jump badge, which takes the mechanic from Mario 2 and puts it back in the moveset. It felt like something that allowed me to like really break through get a lot of secrets and sort of cheese things without feeling like something I had to rely on. And I think that's something that can be said for all of the badges, where I think the game is designed well in that it never feels like you need a badge in order to do something, but the game still gives you like plenty of fun options to mess around with things if you do have badges. And in that regard, I really love pairing the crouching high jump with the drill power up, because that allows you to easily jump up to ceilings and crawl along there, really expanding the possibilities of where you could move. And I thought that was a lot of fun.
I didn't do that much, but yeah, that's really smart.
The drill is my favorite power up because let me just state this straight up. The physics in this game are stellar and so on point. Mm-hmm. It does the Mario World thing where Mario has like a little bit of like if you run and let go of the controller, he still has a little bit of momentum, so you can build up that momentum. So there's this super exhilarating like feeling when you're running and jumping and you can let go of the control stick, and Mario still flies like he has a little bit of momentum and acceleration left, and that's such a exhilarating way of movement, and that carries over so expertly and so excellently in the drill power up, because I just adore drilling down in the ground, and you can like move fast forward on the ground, and then you can like jump up from the ground, like, and you carry tremendous momentum forward when you jump like sideways up from the ground from being underground in the drill power up. And that feeling of momentum is a complete rush every single time. It's one of those magical video game things where you do it to do it. It's like it doesn't have any goal, it doesn't have to have any purpose. You can just do it for the sake of doing it because it's such a rush.
I would say my favorite of the new power-ups is probably the bubble power-up. I do like being able to jump off of bubbles. I like that it just turns your enemies into coins. It's kind of horrifying if you think about it for a moment, but it's just like, all right. Although when it comes to like the combat challenge levels, I almost always just grab the fire flower because I think it has like the best just immediate killing utility. It's ranged and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool that they balanced it in such a way where the fire flower is still like the most directly offensive, but it doesn't give you as much platforming utility as opposed to the bubble where you could jump off the bubbles, or the drill where you can do stuff. Again, it's just such a balanced set of powers, and I really love all four of them. I don't find myself missing any of the other powers because that's just the set we have feels so like organically set up, and it's just really, really strong. I know we didn't talk about it too much, but shout outs to the elephant for consistently making me laugh with how goofy it is.
Absolutely.
So you both had talked about kind of the comedy appeal of Mario Wonder. The elephant is like pretty heavy in that. Yes. And so there was over the weekend I visited a friend, and we played through the first world. I'd already played through, but I was like, I want to show you the game. And so we got to the castle of World 1, and we both got the elephant power up, and we were like, all right, we're big burly elephants, let's go beat up a child. And then like we went to like Bowser Jr.'s level, and then like we basically just like had him in the corner, we're flailing our elephant trunks and he couldn't do anything, and it was like just the funniest thing to us.
No, I agree. It was extremely powerful because I've also been playing the game with friends, and I did a little bit of. I did World 1 with friends first, and then I did it on my own. But yeah, just standing in the corner, just using your elephant trunk, beating up on that angry child. Very, very funny.
But and I guess I didn't talk about it, but as far as the badges go, I kind of kept as my default one the parachute hat. It has good utility. I didn't really use too many of the boost badges. I think some of the more challenging levels where I was like kind of dying and restoring, I did go just to the like auto super shroom. But aside from that, I didn't really touch them much.
It's fun to touch or use the crouch jump just because it reminds me so much of Revali's Gale.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, it actually is like it really does fit that mechanic. Wow.
The crouch jump is now ready. And I also refuse to use the wall climb because the wall climb, as people know, every cap has like a trial stage that you have to master in order to get a badge. And the second wall climb level where you have to use the wall climb like 8, like, okay, you don't lose lives during badge challenges, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't.
Okay, you don't. Yeah, but it ate like, I don't know. I don't want to dream about how many tries it ate, but I spent so long on that level that when I was done, I'm like not using that badge out of protest because I don't want anything to do with that level anymore. It was so difficult.
So I didn't mind the wall jump as much, but I remember I was trying. I think it was one of the. I think it was the first jump level, where you do some wall jumping, and that like you can't do it with the wall badge, so it kind of turned me off to using it in general because that's like counting on you doing like quick jumps between walls, and it'll like just push you up, and that it won't work.
Yeah. I've been trying. I think the reason why I like the crouching high jump sort of the most is for a couple of reasons. I think it's because, as I mentioned before, it feels very deliberate to activate. Like, I'm never doing the crouching high jump by accident, but it also doesn't take away anything from my moves. Like, I love the parachute cap, but sometimes I just want to do the standard midair spin instead of floating down. So in that regard, hey, crouching high jump always felt like a really like standard thing where it's like, okay, I have a cool ability that I can use that doesn't feel like too ridiculously like OP or anything, but still feels like, oh yeah, this is great. And again, I just think they did such a good job of balancing all of the action badges so that they all feel useful, but don't, while not feeling too overpowered. In that regard, I actually do think it was a really good idea that they kept it to just equipping one. Because I think if you had more than one of these, besides maybe, I don't know, the dolphin kick or whatever, I think things would have been like, it would have been like way too broken. But they did a good job of setting it up so that it doesn't feel broken, and it's just very strong.
Yeah, it's Mario, not a Metroidvania, so like all of them at once would have been overkill. As far as we did have another question from Meatbag, who had asked us what our favorite Wonder Effect was in general. So just kind of from the first 4 worlds, did anything top Piranha Plants on Parade for you?
Can we talk about Ninja Jump Party? Are we allowed to?
Oh yeah, we can.
Because that one, that level in general was great, but like the Wonder Effect they paired with it, as well as like the badge, that was another like one that really stuck out in my head as like really fun and memorable. In the same vein as the Piranha Plants on Parade.
Yeah, I have a huge love for Piranha Plants on Parade as well. I have a general huge love for anything that makes either the enemies or the environment sing and dance. Mm-hmm. That is just pure comedic beauty. There's like this special enemy later on in the game, it does like this movement with its feet. It looks like breakdancing, and I'm like, that's one of those, like, I had to put down the controller because I was laughing so much. So all of those Wonder Effects with like musical elements in it is so cool. My favorite Wonder Flower effect is it's in the trailer. It's the shadow. It's a shadow level where you become tall, right?
Oh yeah.
And you become tall when you like not. You become tiny when you crouch, and you become tall when you like not crouch. And then the environment also follows. So the trees shrink when you crouch, and the trees go up when you rise from the crouch, so to speak. And that level is they do some truly ingenious level design stuff with that Wonder Flower effect.
I think what makes that level so great is that it's already doing the silhouette thing, which I think people attribute to like going back to Donkey Kong Country Returns. But I think this in particular is more of a send up to Limbo, and just kind of the comedy of like taking that aesthetic, but then like it being silly and you're elongated and everything else. That just really is funny to me.
Yeah, I like what a lot of the best ideas in a lot of these Mario games, and as Wonder shows really well, they do such a good job of balancing the idea of, hey, let's have something silly and funny and charming, but let's also have a good gameplay idea tied to it. Like, oh yeah, you're a big old stretchy guy, but also you crouch, you crouch to go smaller. But they also do things like, okay, let's crouch so you can make sure you dodge enemies. When you crouch, the trees go down, and you can use those to get items and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it really just goes to show that this game. And it's no surprise because this is like the Mario. This is like 2D Mario. They almost got this down to a science at this point. But how they really do such a good job of integrating a lot of the style with the substance, right? Mm-hmm. And in that, and that's one of the most impressive things about this game. For everything I gush about in terms of the look and the aesthetic and the graphics and how things are paced out, it all serves multiple purposes. You know, it feels extremely well thought out.
So, one of the questions that B-Bag asked was also if we tried playing through the levels without the Wonder effect. And first, I want to say it's kind of wild to begin with that every single level, at least aside from the one-offs, does have a Wonder effect. Like, that's so ambitious. But when I've gone back to play through the levels without the Wonder effect, say I had missed a purple coin or if I wanted to get the flag top, the levels are actually pretty well built for just rushing through if that's what you want to do. Like just continuously hold B jump. Like they're well designed for that, and they're fun from that perspective as well. I think like the Wonder effects are obviously the star of the show, but the level design's still pretty solid.
Yeah, for sure. I generally do prefer playing levels with the Wonder effect if they're available, unless I'm trying to rush through them on purpose. But yeah, I do commend that the game has designed in such a way where, you know, if I don't use the Wonder effect, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that this level is not going to be fun. You know, I can still have a really good time playing through these levels because they're also just strong 2D Mario levels, with the Wonder effect being, hey, let's add that extra. Sometimes just let's add that extra cherry on top. Let's add this extra section, or let's make this, or add a new section to the challenge. I was talking about this game with my partner, and they kind of likened it to things like Mario 64. How in Mario 64 and a lot of those other levels, they have optional challenges that you can do, or, you know, different objectives using the same level design.
Yeah.
And given how the Wonder Seeds are treated kind of like the Power Stars, or I guess in this case it'd be more appropriate to say they're treated like the Power Moons from Odyssey, I think that comparison is pretty apt. You know, it feels like, okay, if you want to get these extra Wonder Seeds, you want to do these extra challenges, maybe, you know, you want to unlock your way to the next world, or you just want to go for completion, you have that option. But you have a lot of freedom to do how you want to approach this. Do you just want to do what you want? Do you want to try to do it all? Do you want to pick and choose? You know, and that was the strength of the 64 structure. It was the strength of Odyssey's structure, even with its own tweaked little way where you're getting things per world. And I think it's the real strength of Wonder's design as well, where it's fun if you want to do everything. It's fun if you want to do some things, you know. It's approachable, but also has a lot of depth if you want that. And yeah, the more I talk about Wonder, even beyond just playing it, the more I really am impressed with the game and how it flows. I don't know where it's gonna end up in my rankings for Mario, but this has just been such a good time to just talk about and think about and play the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, WestEgg, that beneath all the silliness and beneath all the trips, there's still a foundational level design solidness where, because there's a difference between level design and level design. There's different kinds of level design. You have the level design where it's all about the idea philosophy. It's all about the way the ideas become intersecting with one another. But there's also like the greatest platforming games, in my opinion, are the games where you can strip off all the ideas and all the aesthetic elements and only have the physics and the obstacles and still have a good time. That to me, like, is a great platforming game, is that it's still fun even when you cook it down to the pure foundations. And I think that's very true with Wonder. That when I just go from point A to point B and don't really dabble in purple coins or don't touch the Wonder Flower, I can still appreciate like how airtight the level design actually is and how it feels like they have just placed every single object with such great care and attention.
Okay, so we've talked quite a bit about a lot of the changes that this game had made for the Mario series in general, kind of embracing the more silliness and wondrousness of the flowers and whatnot. Aside from that, did either of you have any final thoughts as far as like the changes made in this game, the voice acting, the art style, etc.?
This game is beautiful, and
yeah, it really is.
Yeah, like it's beautiful in the sense that it's not necessarily even that it's pushing like the highest fidelity graphics or the most realism or the strongest lighting. Like those are all good aspects, but like I'm still so impressed with how they've taken a lot of the 2D art design philosophies and applied them to the 3D models. Again, both for the sake of being much more creative and zany and very well, I'm losing my words today. I think I've been playing too much Mario. But it really is like that
relatable.
merger. Yeah, I think it really is just that merger of style and substance there, where yes, it has more character and charm, but everything is done also to make things more clear. For example, there's been comparisons between like the new Super Mario Brothers physics and the Wonder physics, and how they're mostly the same, but Wonder ends up feeling a lot better to play in many regards because everything just looks so much clearer in terms of the motions you're doing and all of that kind of stuff. So I really want to see them keep experimenting with these sort of wackier art styles, especially in the 2D games. You know, let's push for that clarity. Let's keep up this sort of wacky cartoony thing where we can pull from the 2D design philosophies, but still in a very modern 3D forward-thinking kind of way. That alone is really strong when it comes to how it goes when it does that. Let's keep messing around with the structure of the worlds. You know, this game decides, hey, you have to finish each world, but let's make each world open. Let's make it more approachable like that. You know, kind of like Odyssey. Let's keep doing stuff like that, or try to find more ways to freshen up the progression. You know, this stuff makes me really excited to see like what they'll do next.
Okay. And before we kind of go into looking at kind of the bigger, broader picture of Mario as a franchise and whatnot, did have one last question from Big Lantern Ghost, who wants to know, who does everyone think is the cutest? And Big Lantern Ghost apparently thinks Bubble Daisy is.
Bubble Daisy is very cute. I think that the purple and yellow combo is really nice. All of the characters as Goombas is adorable. Okay, yeah. I love that, especially like the princesses with like the eyelash. They're adorable. I love them so much. One other thing I want to put in for the cuteness, and this is more so the silly cute than like all adorable cute. The toads as elephants. The two toads in the
I was going to say that.
They're great.
That was going to be my answer, just because they have like the beady eyes instead of like the more human eyes of the princesses and the brothers.
What about
Yeah, I love
what about you, Irene? What do you think?
Can I say an enemy?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is, I think, one of the weirdest things about Mario Wonder, not the weirdest thing, but unexpected things, is that some aspects of the game is giving me Celeste vibes unexpectedly. Some of the winter levels and some of the nitty-gritty level design in more difficult levels gives me Celeste vibes. And there's one balloon enemy that is like almost identical to one of the enemies in the Farewell DLCs from Celeste. So obviously I was like surprised with like the similarity, but like, hey, that's the Celeste enemy. And but it's a very cute enemy, and the thing that makes it so cute is that as so many other things in Mario Wonder, is like an inanimate object that has a face, and it's like one of the funniest looking faces like in all of Mario, I would say. It has like this, just looks like it just hanging out like, hey, I'm a balloon, what's your problem? And that's I think that's extremely cute. A lot of enemy designs are like that, where when they just like they look like they're there by accident. They don't know how to get out of the weird situation that they're trapped in.
Yeah, it's like all of the bouncing hippos when they get stuck. They just look kind of resigned.
Yes.
All right. So as far as this year goes, the year 2023, do you think this was the biggest year for Mario, like in Mario's history?
Certainly the biggest in a while. I mean, we've had the movie, and that made a lot of money in the box office. It was really popular. We've gotten several announcements for Mario projects that are either coming out very soon or coming out, the next few months. Like Wonder just came out, but this weekend, next weekend, we're going to be getting a new WarioWare game, and then 2 weeks after that, we're going to be getting the Mario RPG remake. We have Peach getting her own game again after so many years. We're getting the Luigi's Mansion remake. We've been doing the Mario Kart DLC for the past few years. After a relatively quiet 2022 when it comes to Mario, where it really was just Booster Course Pass and then Mario Rabbids, we've had like a really, really packed year for the plumber. You can maybe make the argument that the 2020 celebrations for the 35th anniversary were bigger as a Mario year.
I was thinking that.
At the very least, if we're able to include like the period at the near beginning of 2021 where we also got 3D World plus Bowser's Fury alongside it, then that I think is something to argue, at least on Switch, as like the biggest. But in terms of like, this period might at least, I mean, obviously we have to wait to see things like the Peach game stick the landing and all that kind of stuff. But like this period of Mario for the past, probably since the movie, but I'm going to at least say from like Wonder onward, is going to be some of the biggest Mario-related stuff we've gotten in some time. And it'll only double if we end up getting Switch 2 next year, and there's like, I don't know, some Mario, like a 3D Mario game that launches alongside it. This will probably be one of the biggest sort of periods for the franchise in a while.
Yeah, I agree that it almost feels like a bigger year than the actual big year that was 2020, where we got like the 3D All-Stars collection, which maybe ended up being a bit underwhelming for some people. And then this year we had like literally more or less 2 Mario Directs like consecutively, where June was like, Mario Direct, like, I wonder what the September Direct is gonna be about. I hope it's Metroid, I hope it's the process, I hope it's like something like that. But then the September Direct comes and it's like Mario again. So I think I agree a lot that this is like a huge peak for Mario, and in the broader context, it's so fitting that the Switch is meeting its twilight years with so many plumber and plumber-related games.
I was going to say, I kind of feel like this was the year, maybe this is like a culmination of last year and this year, but it feels like we're kind of at a point where Nintendo is really flexing Mario as a brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's like, I know the movie did crazy well, but if you go to like any toy aisle, Mario is going to dominate Christmas, like for the shopping season.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, it's no longer like, can you say, I mean, people have always said that like Mario is the Mickey Mouse of video games, but I think it's almost at this point, Mario just is Mickey Mouse, like not in personality or whatever, but in that like brand icon status.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. They were really they were setting the seats for it, very for a while. When obviously they announced the movie stuff, they opened they did the Super Nintendo World stuff over in Japan, and that's that finally. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. This year Super Nintendo World opened in Universal Hollywood, so that's another thing for 2023 for Mario. So add another one to the tally. But it feels like they've been setting up this direction for it. We've been getting more Mario toys themed after especially the new Super games for the past decade or so. We've been getting we finally got the theme park in the movie, but now it's really like, okay, you guys want Mario? You guys want more Mario? Okay, here you go. Here's the theme. Here's more of the theme parks opening. Here's all the games. Here's the movie. Here's all the toys. Here's all the stuff. And no, I totally agree. It almost feels like a flex. But like, if the games still keep being high quality. I went to the theme park earlier this year in Japan. Theme park was great. I love Super Nintendo World. That they keep doing high quality stuff with that. Keep it up. I watch the movie. If they keep it up.
Okay, I did like the movie, but it feels like they're setting up kind of the future of Mario. I'm kind of getting that impression as well. Like, part of it, I would say, is, maybe, like, kind of transitioning Mario to a younger voice actor, because I feel like Kevin Afghani did a great job with Mario in this game.
Absolutely agreed.
And I don't know if this is accurate. I was looking at his IMDb page, and it showed for Super Mario RPG, both Martinet and him were in it. That may be an error, but I'm kind of interested to see how that turns out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're like... Yeah, because I don't think we've heard much voice acting in Mario RPG at all, so I...
Yeah, Mario doesn't talk in Mario RPG, like, it's like a comedic point, actually.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're gonna, like, give him, like voice clips like the Mario and Luigi games. I'm going to assume that they're not, and someone just wrote that IMDb listing for now. But I think what it seems, at least for now, for when it comes to future projects, is that remakes are going to be using Martinet's voice. Like Mario vs. Donkey Kong is using Martinet clips. I'm assuming to make sure, even though they're using more than just the original games clips, I'm assuming they're doing so to like match the style of the original game's voice acting, especially if they're reusing some of that in high quality. So that makes sense, and it seems that Luigi's Mansion hasn't changed its voices. Mario and Luigi, Paper Mario is reusing the Martinet clips from that game. But going forward, yeah, we got Kevin Afghani and the few of the other new voice actors as well, which will be going forward. I'm really curious to see how he does like when they do the next 3D Mario game, because that's when the cast is really often Mario's really allowed to like flex his voice with new clips. I say that when Wonder actually does a significant amount of new recordings, even for the returning actors. And no, yeah, it really does like, hey, we have a new voice actor probably going to keep for the next 20, 30 years. We have bold new games. We have all of this media, we have the focus on the media properties and all that kind of stuff. Again, it's really exciting to see where this franchise is going to go, because it feels like they can literally do whatever they want and make something that's interesting out of it. And that's all I really want. Keep do whatever direction you want, but keep these games fun, keep them interesting. So let's keep that up,
As a kind of aside, I was looking at the new voice actors and actresses that were part of Mario Wonder, and Mick Winger, the actor who voices the flower, is weirdly accomplished.
Yeah.
I was like looking through his credits. He's Shu Amaguchi in 13 Sentinels. He's
wait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I need to compare this, because this is what?
Yeah, the talking flower is Shu Amaguchi in the English dub. And then just kind of some of the other ones that surprised me. A bunch of anime credits. He's in Diablo Immortal. He's in Arcane. Like, he's just like weirdly accomplished compared to like just being the speaking flower in the game, who admittedly is probably easily the most voiced character, but still.
I will not be able to unhear this from now on.
Yeah, he had to put on a good performance for Yuki-chan.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
If you want more things that you won't be able to unhear, If you watch any of the Kung Fu Panda TV shows, that the voice of Po is Mick Winger, doing a absolutely spot on Jack Black impression, which is super notable because, you know, the role of Po was written with Jack Black in mind. That the fact that he does such a good set of mimicry is really incredible. So we have Jack Black in the movie. We have an excellent Jack Black impersonator now with the Talking Flowers. It almost feels like they had a lot of restraint to go from going, hey, let's just have Mick Winger do some Mauser clips alongside the Kenny James Wars like how they did in the movie.
Mm-hmm. So we did have another question from Chocolate Soup Bro saying, with the amount of wild ideas that were in Wonder, where do we see the 2D Mario series going from here? Do the Wonder Seeds come back as a morphing concept? Will that be a thing, or will they just go with a new innovation moving forward?
I see them just going for like a new innovation and trying to do just a new thing each game and just trying to push that. And I think that is the right move. You know, we don't want 2D Mario or any Mario game really to just rest on its laurels. You know, Mario is the most exciting and the most interesting when they're just deciding, hey, let's try. This is great. We did it for a game. We're good. Let's try something new. Maybe iterate it like once more for like a second game. But like otherwise, like, hey, let's just do this. Let's just do a new idea. Let's do a new concept. Let's try new ways to do progression, new ways to do stuff. I think the Wonder Seed as an idea in the sense that, hey, let's try to make this more about discovery and exploration. Let's have multiple ways to let you be able to finish the game. I think something like that is going to stick around because we see, you know, it's sort of, again, this merging of the 2D and 3D Mario design philosophies. And I think it's something that ends up being really, like, successful. But I don't necessarily see, let's specifically bring back the Wonder Seed and the Wonder Flower transformations necessarily. As cool of an idea as it is, I see them going, hey, let's just find a new way to integrate these clever ideas. Let's try to push the boundaries even more. Let's keep making this interesting.
So, like, as far as where does Mario go from here, I feel like people have been asking that to an extent since Galaxy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how do you expand on that? But they always find a way. As regarding the like Wonder Flowers and the mechanics, I would agree that I don't see, unless they do Wonder 2, I don't think they will bring that back for like a new entry in the series. But it could be something that it is such a good idea that they like kind of soft keep it with like different explanations or different reasons for the transformations, like kind of like what Fire Emblem does with the rewind mechanic, where that's kind of just become a staple since Three Houses.
Yeah, what strikes me when, as you said, that they just surprise us constantly with like newer and newer things, and like unexpected things. And I think about Odyssey. Odyssey feels like the 3D Mario games, like almost antithesis to earlier games, because earlier games were like super surreal, like you're in a castle, you jump into paintings and stuff. Then comes Odyssey, and I was like, screw that, we're going to New York. And you go to New York, like, or New Donk City, and it's like, okay, this is completely like, it's out of place in a Mario context because it's not surreal, it's not extraordinary. It is like regular people wearing like freaking jazz musician clothes. And I just think that 2D Mario could do something similar and like, let's go to Copenhagen, or like, I don't know, let's go to like some place that is so ordinary that it catches everyone completely off guard, but it still managed to retain that imaginative Mario magic while still having a concept and a foundation that is just like completely like unexpected in a Mario context, but expected in a more general video game context.
I think that there's a cycle that a lot of kind of wide-reaching IP go through, where you go really ambitious and then you reel it back to kind of a back to basics. So with Galaxy, I think you kind of saw that with 3D Land that came out as the next 3D game. And then if it goes back, I think what I would potentially think about doing would be a more traditional Mario game, but adopt the art style of the official drawings, because that's something people have been wanting for a while as well, and I think that would look amazing.
Yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll end up doing it, because it does seem like they love to do. They've been loving the idea of, hey, let's just use the 3D models, and to the game's credit, I actually think that Wonder does that really well, where where a lot of the posing and stuff feels very evocative of that old art, even though it is 3D. So while I don't know if we'll ever get that coveted hand-drawn Mario game, I do think that I would love to keep, like you've all said, keep experimenting with the visuals to make things, more, to keep them interesting and fresh as you keep going. Let's, we can do things like using the mundane to push the surreal aspects further with the ideas that Irene mentioned, Again, again, the thing when it comes to Mario is that what I would like them to do is like to give me the stuff that I wasn't necessarily asking for or expecting. Because when they do that, that's usually when the games are the freshest. Trying to, give me the things that I didn't think I was asking for in the sense of doing something new. I wasn't expecting how the worlds were going to be structured in this game, and yet I ended up falling in love. I didn't know, I wasn't expecting Mario to turn, not just have an more animal-themed power, but to turn into a giant elephant. But they made that fun. So as long as they can keep pushing that sort of massive drive for creativity and massive drive for a bunch of new ideas, whatever form that is, I'm ready for it, so keep it, honestly, just keep it coming, take your time, don't rush these games, but keep it coming.
So what do you think we'll see from Mario whenever the next console launches? And the kind of reason why I think this is an interesting question is because Mario is not always present at the launch of a console. Like, the first appearance of, the Mario franchise on the GameCube was Luigi's Mansion. And then Mario Sunshine didn't come out till a bit later. The first game that starred Mario on the Wii was Super Paper Mario. So, Mario's not always there at the start, but do you think he'll be there at the start, especially since it looks like there probably won't also be a Zelda project to help launch the console?
I think the stars are aligning for 3D Mario, honestly. I think they've been sitting on it and really letting it cook for Switch 2.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to be too bullish on it because we may end up getting a total surprise when it comes to maybe a new franchise sort of taking the helm. But they're not launching with the new Zelda because they just came out with Tears of the Kingdom. So no big 3D Zelda is gonna come out. I could see Metroid Prime 4 being a cross-gen title, but I don't think that's going to be the only game because that appeals to a specific hardcore audience, and you want something that's a little more general audience to capture that. And I think Mario games are a good bet. So I think if we're getting holiday 2024, I could see a new 3D Mario game being the launch title. It's not like Mario Kart's going to be ready at launch. I doubt Mario Kart's going to be ready at launch. And I can't really think of, and we just did a 2D Mario, so we're not gonna do. So it's not like we're gonna get that. And I mean, I guess maybe depending on when Peach launches, maybe if that launches really late in 2024, maybe that's it. But we're already getting pre-orders, so I don't think unless Switch 2 is launching really early, I don't think Peach is gonna be the launch title. So my gut feeling is 3D Mario. It's kind of hard to think about what big appeal game that you could have that's going to be completely new could really match what that is in terms of broad audience. Because I also don't. It's not I also don't think a Smash Brothers is going to be ready by launch. So
I'm not confident we're getting a Smash Brothers for a while.
Yeah. So I feel like it's 3D Mario's time to launch the system. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but let me will it into existence, please. Please.
I mean, that's totally fair. I don't know if I don't think we still know who exactly is making either Mario RPG or Princess Peach. But I've kind of just been under the assumption Next Level's doing Princess Peach Showtime. But if they're not, I'm wondering if we could have a Luigi's Mansion decently close, like Luigi's Mansion 4. They'll want that early.
Yeah, my only wonder would be do they want to do Luigi's Mansion 4 in the same year they're doing Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. I don't think it's like that weird to do in terms of having both, but I wonder if that is something that they want to have that overlap.
My prediction would be, depending on how it would be like launch year is within the full 12 months after the launch. I think Luigi's Mansion would probably appear like in the October of that. So if it launches holiday 2024, it will be like October 2025. But that's my speculation.
I do wonder if they're going to save any big Mario projects specifically for 2025, because like that's the 40th anniversary. So like, not that they often do like super big projects for the big anniversaries. Like Galaxy 2 happens to come out during the 25th anniversary, and they timed Maker for 30th. So hey, if you want to do Maker 3 for 40th, I mean, hey, you know, I know the director of that game is no longer at Nintendo. But like if you wanted to do another Maker game with like a Wonder theme, okay, you know, you could potentially do that in 2025. It's kind of cool to see that when it comes to the future of this franchise, we're in a very different place than we were when we were in like about a decade ago with the 3DS and the Wii U, where we were having a lot of very safe Mario games. You know, a lot of, hey, these are fun, but even an amazing game like 3D World still feels like it's pulling very much from the more standard kind of pool of references. But really starting really with Odyssey, you know, saying like, okay, let's let go of some of that. Let's, you know, the brand's in a good place. Let's just go balls to the wall with creativity. If you excuse me being a little vulgar. So you get Odyssey, you get Bowser's Fury, you get DLC for Mario Kart. You have the Mario Rabbids spin-offs. We got Paper Mario in a good place again. We have a lot of stuff. Even the sports games have gotten to decent places after their update cycles. So it's nice to, and of course, obviously all the stuff coming up within the next year that we already know about. So it's nice to be in a place where it's like, even if I don't exactly know what they're going to do, that whatever it is, it's something that's going to seem really exciting and potentially really fresh, you know. So that's sort of like my feelings. Even if it isn't 3D Mario at launch, I feel that we're in a good space where, hey, whatever they do next, I just can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I think that 3D Mario at launch, but I kind of want it to launch alongside Captain Toad 2, because that is something an idea I've been playing with in the back of my head for a while, and it has become like a direct wishlist thing, because Captain Toad is a fantastic game that just begs hard on its knees for a sequel. So that's as like not a side project, maybe is the wrong way to put it, but that as an additional project for like EPD. Don't know. I'm not too good with the divisions 2, 3, 4, 5, but EPD people who did Captain Toad, if they will also alongside make Captain Toad 2, please do it. That would be, if VolcanicDynamo is willing to, or you do your part in willing 3D Mario to existence, and I will do my part in willing Captain Toad 2 into existence by saying, please make it happen.
Next year marks a decade since Captain Toad was originally released for the Wii U. I think it's time. Let's get a new one, please.
Yes.
I'd like to see the good captain again.
Well, you can see the good captain in Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch family of systems, having been released on October 20th, 2023.
You really can.
All right, so before we finish, we did have a special request from Big Lantern that we all do our very best, loudest Wowie-Zowie. Wowie-Zowie!
Perfect.
All right, so that'll do it for today's discussion. I'd like, again, to thank my fellow discussion members for their participation today, including those of you who sent us questions. If you're interested in continuing the discussion or sending us questions of your own, please be sure to find us podcast companion threads on Famiboards.com, or just leave us a comment on whatever service you're listening to. We'll be sure to look over all of those. And please be sure to review us on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, or share this episode with anyone who you think would enjoy it. It will really help the podcast grow. Thanks again, everyone, and bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Take care, folks.